All right, this is Cully and Abby. This is Kaiser. We also have videos of Kaiser when he was a puppy, when he was being raised. He was about 1.5 years old, I think, when you got him from me, wasn't he? And that's been 3 years ago. Okay, in a short little kind of synopsis, hey, you better settle. Maybe you can just talk about what it's been like to bring a service dog home with you.
Well, it's a whole new world for me because there's so many things I'm limited with, not just physically, but also emotionally. And what I've found over the years is that Kaiser not only does service dog things like I can crawl up on him and he braces me to stand up. He helps me keep distance when I'm a personal space. But we've almost become like one now. So that when we're out, whether it be the grocery store, wherever we're going, everything has become very natural, so that our minds, I guess you could say, I know when I need him to be easy, I know when I need him to do, and he is just absolutely excellent. This dog provides me with a level of security that I never really felt before, and he is a little bit nervous right now, but I mean,
He's excited
he
right
does.
now. He's not nervous.
This dog is like, it's like a ballerina act. So that whether we have a cart, whatever we're doing, it seems like he is in tune with what I'm doing.
Okay, now I have a question for you. Do you have to do everything perfect for him to do his job?
No, there's times when I'm not doing things perfectly and he still does it. And it reminds me. So, my biggest problem with dogs always was I was a little bit behind the curve. In other words, if I needed to give a command or do something, it was like I did it late and the dog would always make a mistake. But Kaiser came here from his breeder. He came from Byron, and he came here when he was 12 weeks old, so he never came to my house. And then after he had been trained, he started to visit, and then he came full time. And he is absolutely part of pretty much everything. And I mean, it's a difficult thing to understand about a service dog that not only is there for me as a mobility dog, but also there for me as this emotional support and this oneness that I've never had with a dog before. I've had other dogs that I care a lot about, but none that seem to know exactly what I need at any given time. And also for me, it's helped me to know if we go to the meat market and there's lots of people kind of pushing us up, which is a nervous situation, I can remind Kaiser to be, you're fine, be easy. It also tells me I'm fine and be easy. So it's like this relationship that's very, I just can't really pinpoint the word. I mean, it's one that my commands to him help me. But if there are times when I'm, maybe at a store and I'm, checking through the tomatoes or whatever, and I'm not paying attention to him, he's still like a rock there. He's not going and doing his thing. I'm like his universe.
You're his God.
And I mean, he knows in the morning when it's time to I take medicine under my tongue, and it takes about 45 minutes. He knows when it's time to take the medicine, and he comes and takes his same place with me. The dog even prays with me. So when I'm praying in the morning, he comes and he sits down and he puts his snout on the bed because I kneel and put my head on the bed. And then we do some reading, and then he gets up on the bed. So I mean, he's really
It's your reflection.
is really a reflection, yeah, and has helped me really in understanding so many things about myself that I didn't know were that much on the surface. There's so much about Kaiser reflecting my level of, if I have anxiety, for instance, Kaiser will act as though he has anxiety, and I will look at him and I know immediately, not only does he have to stop thinking like that, but Cully has to stop thinking like that. And so it's the symbiotic thing that is so important. Interestingly enough, at home, I live with Orlando. Orlando's like his best friend. I mean, they're like all his friends all over the place. But if Orlando gives him a command, he just kind of looks at him like, whatever. But, you know, for instance, Kaiser likes to keep the pack together, and Orlando goes to work at 10 o'clock at night, and there's this big barking thing about, you can't leave, you can't do this. And boy, I'll tell you what, if I leave and he's not with me, which I do, I don't necessarily take this dog out when it's more than about 85 degrees because he's sensitive to sunstroke and heat stroke. And if I say, all I have to say is I'll be right back, I don't get any back talk, any whatsoever. And so when Pat and I had an old dog and realized it was time for a new one, I asked Pat to choose the breed that she thought would be best for me. I never thought it would be a Rottweiler, ever, in a million years. But now, when I go to bed at night, I don't worry about if I lock the door or not. And this dog is actually, we had somebody try to break into the house. The guy banged on the door. He said he needed an emergency. He had to get in. Orlando said no, so the guy then went to our dining room window and tried to open it up. Well, Kaiser went on the offensive. Now, he looks very calm and happy right now, but you should see him when he's mad. He looks like an absolute, I mean, worse than the Rottweilers in that movie, The Omen. I mean, and the guy was so scared, Orlando opened up the door and said, I've called the police for your emergency. Go sit on the curb, and if you get up, we're going to have to put the dog on you. And that guy went and sat on that curb for 15 minutes, he was so afraid, until the police got there. And I never, ever want to have to put Kaiser in a position where he has to actually hurt somebody to protect me. I never want him in that position. But he automatically has this protection in him.
He's wrong.
And he is not going to allow certain behaviors.
Can I just end this by saying, in our society, we end up taking orders and having so many limits and so many expectations. Many people never learn what it is to really be a leader. Well, when you find yourself with a disability, when you've been a powerful man or woman your whole life, and all of a sudden you're, diminished capacity, when you go out, people look over you. People don't look at you. They look over you. They look around you.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes people feel like they're less. Having a good dog that's reflective of not only you, but the training it's had. That's the three pieces, is the dog, the training, and how they live. Okay, when you can go out like this, and you can give this dog a command, and you can have power over this dog, it makes you feel like you're capable again. You just have to change your course.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the hardest thing, because with Cully in the banking field, he couldn't be brutally honest with anybody. He can with his dog.
Have to.
Have to. He calls you on it, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
I think one of my favorite stories was when you you were going to leave him in the van.
I had pulled into one of those little stop and go place and had automatic doors on my van. And it takes me a while to get from the van seat with my cane and, you know, get out from the seat belt and get out of the door. Well, somehow I had clicked the button and the door opened. So by the time I turned around, and there's no Kaiser. And I frantically looked all over the parking lot, just looked, and I called him, because when I call him, that dog is at my feet. There are no ifs, ands, or buts, okay? And there was no response. And I noticed people were kind of running out of the store. Well, somehow he had got out, the door was open, and he was in shopping. And he
was looking for you, wasn't he?
Yeah. He won't touch anything in the store, but he was just kind of in there, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And he's not, when I'm not there, this dog is not going to hurt anybody. However, he scares people. So one guy said, that big black dog, that Rottweiler, is in that store. He goes, and I'm so scared, I can't imagine. I had to come running out. He goes, can I sue you for being scared? And I said, well, in this world, I guess you can sue me for anything. So I went in, and I called him, and I clicked onto him, and that was it. But I mean, he can function on his own and be polite and have manners, and he understands the difference between a public place and my house, and he's not going to hurt anybody. However, when I'm with him, don't come running at me saying your dog is so pretty that I have to pet him, and all Rottweilers love me, and blah blah blah. And that, you know, I've had occasions where they come running, and I've learned that I have to tell people to stop before they get about 10 feet from me, because he's not going to let somebody run at me. With the exception of, I was at Schnucks, and I was doing my business, and there was a little boy with a balloon, probably 5 or 6 years old, and the little boy was running around in circles and screaming and carrying on, and he came around, and pretty soon it looked like maybe he was going to run to me, and Kaiser just went boom with his body like that and knocked that little kid right on his butt.
His mother should have.
And I just told this kid, I said, gee, I'm really sorry. I said, but you know, you can't be dancing around in a grocery store like that. And my dog told you that you can't do that. I said, I didn't bite you. He won't bite a kid. Kids can, you know, crawl on them. I mean, but if a kid is running at me, and there is a possibility that I'm going to get knocked down, whoever tries to knock me down is going to get managed.
Mm-hmm. So when he needed a service dog, the biggest job was educating Cully. So I chose the breed. And he trusted me enough to do that. He was afraid of Rottweilers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big, scary dog. And a lot of people who are afraid of dogs will have a big dog or a big attitude because they like that security. But just like we were talking this morning, if you don't have control of that security, you got a problem. So then we sat down and we had to talk about, glean what was really the priorities in these dogs, because there was a lot of silly things that I want him to do this and this and this and this and this, and I want him to pull a cart, and I want him to be able to pull the kids on a sled, and I want, you know.
I had all kinds. I had all kinds of ideas that didn't have anything to do with what the actual relationship was.
Yeah.
I had to live through it.
Yeah.
I had to learn through it. You know.
Well, we had 2 years to get you shaped into the right mindset. Then you have friends and family who don't necessarily agree with the choice. So then you've got your friends who all have these Rottweiler stories and have all the, you know, the big things, and you can't do that. And then you got the breeder who wanted to take him to teach him to pull weights and muscle up. And then you've got all of these factions in the world that tell you you can't do that. They're making decisions based on their experiences, not necessarily, this is my area.
One of the things, too, which is you know, kind of feeds into my pride, and I try not to get over it, but it is not uncommon for someone to come up and tell me that is the best behaved and most well-trained dog I have ever seen when I'm out with him in public. And I take pride in that, not just because he's so well-trained, but because I was trained at the same time.
And it really is about priorities. So you have to be very careful about taking side trips with a dog that's going to be of service. You can't let things happen. No accidental lessons.
Mm.
You know, the videos of him, the pictures of him, he was raised by Molly, the shepherd, Hamlet, the shepherd, Troubles, very involved. The Lakelands, they corrected him on a regular basis. Sizzy straightened him right up. So he's well-adjusted, well-socialized, confident. He could come into here just exactly like we were doing today. But anyway, I really thank you for sharing Kaiser.
Well,
Hey, you don't need to chase flies.
Yeah, I can't really put into words the gratitude I have for this. You know, I've talked to Pat before, but this is the biggest gift, the best gift that I've ever been given and participated in my life. There's financial consideration, but that's nothing, because compared to this, the gift of all of these things that Kaiser has provided to me because of Pat's training and me being involved the best I could. And when he was a pup, I was more mobile. I get less mobile all the time. But
you're steadier.
Yeah.
You're steadier now than you were then.
And but I think it's the greatest gift outside of my faith that I have ever had in my life.
Thank you.
I mean,
Cool.
it's just that, yeah.
Well,
And he's a big,
heck of a dog.
we get this thing now where he's just a big old knucklehead, right? He doesn't know, you're just a knucklehead. You don't know what it is.
The biggest danger of this is the person not following through. Dogs are easy. People are hard. In the beginning, I wasn't sure. Because Cully's a good talker.
Well, and you know, we had a discussion, I can't remember, I was saying something about Kaiser, and Pat goes, he's bored, he needs to work more. Because I got to the point where there was an ease of me not going through the whole thing about getting him outside and everything else, and I said, I will now, you know, and so like for today, he wants to work so much. And it's unfortunate on hot days that it's just not possible. But I have learned one thing. If I leave without him because it's too hot, I give him a job before I leave. And I tell him, you watch this house. You watch it. I don't want anybody in here. And then when I get home, I can say, is the TV still there? And I can give him a good job because nobody came in to take my stuff. And reward him for doing that. So if he's with me or not, he's assigned a job. And without a job, this dog would be nuts. I mean, he needs a job, and so it's something that just we always make sure he has a job, and he's always, boy, if he does a good job. I've always looked at dogs who are proud. I always say it's like they have a big heart. You know, they're so happy to show what they've done, and that's what I want him to have. I want him to have a rewarding job experience.
Oh, he's got the work ethics.
Oh, yes, he does.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Pat. Thank you a million times, yeah. Now, you can just leave me alone.
Now, one of the hard things is, and what we're doing right now, is Kaiser needs his toenails cut really bad. That's the one bad thing about a service dog, is if you are limited, it's difficult. So the places that Cully has taken Kaiser to, they always get him in a big fight because they don't tie him, they don't do things that make him feel secure. They try to hold him. So you take 5 people holding this big dog in place. He's what, 90?
Oh, he's 110 pounds.
110 pounds, okay. And he's not particularly super fat either. He's not skinny, but he's not fat. So you take 5 people holding on to this dog.
They can barely do.
And it's a darn good thing he's got a good temperament. Because, can you imagine?
I think with his work ethic and with everything else, those toenails are his tools.
They're weapons.
And his weapon.
So it absolutely is true. But when you take this dog and try to confine him and limit him, that in itself, just think about yourself being held down by 5 people. For most of us, it would take 5 people.
And not knowing.
Yeah. They don't, So unfortunately, he's backed a couple people off because the people didn't have him set up correctly. So that makes him difficult when you go to the nice places that don't tie him. So we're going to take a break here. I'm going to cut his toenails. That's what he's... Oh my goodness, look at your toenails. Now you're fine. Good boy. Now Kaiser does not like this because it's been a source of an argument. At one time he was like nothing. And this is what going to people who are way too nice about it get you. The dog was getting worse and worse and worse. It's a big effort for Cully to come up here. It's not easy. So I said, leave him alone, don't take him, and we'll deal with it. Good. I know. Good boy. I know. Now, I haven't seen him for, what, a year?
At least.
Yeah.
No,
So
maybe not a year, but it's been a while.
it's been a long time. So I can't just assume we have the same relationship. He's no longer that young man. He's now a middle-aged adult. And I'm going to disarm him. Simple as that. Easy. Give it here. Now, by tying him up this way, you talk to him, Cully.
You're fine, Kaiser. It's okay. Good job.
By having the owner involved,
Good job, Kaiser. Yeah, you're fine. Good job.
we don't have a problem. Why would it take 5 people to hold this dog in place for somebody to cut toenails? It shouldn't. You have put the dog in a threatening situation just by trying to be too nice. Tell the dog what you want. Now, I trained him very well. I need Cully to be able to participate because he's now Cully's dog. He obviously remembers me. He knows where he's at. Easy. Look at you. Give it here.
Good job, buddy.
Now, in this way, even if he chose to be a little bit stupid,
You're fine, buddy. Good job.
I'm safe.
Good job.
Now, his toenails have to hurt.
Yeah.
Stop.
Kaiser, you're fine. Good job.
Now, that's calming Cully.
Good job.
Good job. You're fine. You're fine. When he came out here, what did he say to me? If he pulls on me at all, you don't have to worry about it. You're good. Because all he has to do is drop the lead. I'm still fine.
Well, and there's probably, he's got that, not going to pull on me too hard.
Yeah, but when you start getting anxious about, if he pulls me, that's a fear. It's a fear. It's a legitimate fear. So I had to calm you down. It's fine. You're fine. Good boy, Cully. Good, easy. You see that? Patty, does that look familiar? Stand. Come on. Oh, I know. Give it here. Good boy. There you go. Cully's got to talk to him like this is normal. Because it is here. On YouTube somewhere, there's a video of us cutting that 140-pound Corso's toenails. I took 5 of us to get him up on that big table, and he was tied here in the center. Because Julie was right up on the table with, pulling him up, and you didn't want him to slide because you sure don't want him to. Hey, now I need your foot. Now what are you being goofy for?
You're okay.
And it took to get him up there. It wasn't that we held him, and we cut his toenails. She didn't think we could, but we could.
Good boy, Kaiser. Yeah, good boy. Good job.
Look at that.
Yeah, that was pretty
Now we don't want to get him off from the table immediately. We want him to think of something pleasant is how it ended. It started with me petting him and telling him how wonderful he was. It ends the same way.
good boy.
How proud we are of him.
Just a good boy.
Oh, we're buddies, aren't we? Yeah. Look at how cute you are. We knew, or I knew, what the priorities actually were. Cully had a whole bunch of lists, but the big priority of this dog, he had to come when he was called and never pull on a lead with Cully. That's why I can say to you, you don't have to worry about, loosen up. You gonna survive?
Good boy.
Now, we need to do this more because you can't, I could have cut it back, but it would have bled all over, and we don't want to do that. The magic number is 3, 3 successful repetitions. It sets a habit. He already is in the habit. It was the other people that started him on a path. Wrong path. Ah, you boy. Oh boy, he is a wonderful dog now. I know, you're very cute. Well, tell him off.
Kaiser off.
Oh boy, he's very wonderful. Now, he just hit a home run in his little league team,
Good job.
and he needs to know you're proud of him.
Yes, he is. Yes, I am. Good boy.